Good evening, everybody. I'm Kath Lloyd from Make the Change, and it's Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock, and it means it's Let's Talk time. So this evening I'm going to be discussing your midterm or your mid-year review. I know we're slightly over mid-year, but I think we did start this a little bit late anyway during the year. Anyway, so why should you have a review? Well, you need a review to check where you are at the moment, to check how far you've travelled on your journey of life since you set your goals, to check that you still want to go in the same direction, to assess that direction is what you really want, because stuff happens, doesn't it? And in the ideal world, what you should really be doing, especially if you're a business owner, or you've got a very strong desire to reach a certain goal, is really you should be addressing that goal or that review every day to remind yourself of where you're going, why you want to be going there, how you've just like before, how can you celebrate what's already happened, and to make sure you're not getting too distracted, because some people are very focused, and other people are attracted to bright shiny new things, and I have to put my hand up to that sometimes. But goal setting is very important because it helps you keep your focus. And I know that some people talk about having your yearly goal, 3-year goal, 5-year goal, your 10-year plan. Well, a lot of people now are starting to say that realistically things change so much that is 10 years unrealistic. But just because you've got goals set, it doesn't mean to say that you can't change them. They're not set in stone. This is your life, this is your personal journey, so it's making what you want of it the best way that you can. Now, when I did my life coaching training, it was all about goal setting. But sometimes as well, I also believe that you've got to go with the flow and what feels right. So for me, for example, I taught I did my life coaching training, and yes, I was going to give up work, but actually I used that life coaching training to help me with my teaching, and it made me a lot better teacher. It made me a lot more focused. It made me a lot stronger. And especially with the clientele that I was teaching with male prisoners, it made me a lot more confident to be able to challenge my clientele in the right way without worrying that I was treading on some toes or that I was pushing them in the wrong direction. So it made me a lot more confident person. And and it got to the stage where, yes, I'm going to give up work, I'm going to do coaching full time, and it got to the stage where my children were going, well, you've been talking about this for years and nothing's happened, you're never going to give up work. But when I talk about making it right for you, it's the balance, isn't it? Where are you at the moment, and where do you want to be in that relationship between the two? Because for me, yes, the novelty of my clientele that I was teaching was lowering, and I was finding the pressure of Ofsted and the big changes that were coming, and the big changes in lesson observations and lesson planning and all of that sort of thing was starting to wear thin on me. But the desire to move was still very balanced, so there was nothing making me want to move. But gradually, as my time through that teaching progressed, the enjoyment was starting to drop. I was enjoying teaching that clientele less and less because of the attitude of that clientele. I was finding it more and more difficult, and so as you can see, the balance was starting to change. And it got to the stage also that actually for my family, you know, me going and working where I was, it fitted in with dropping my son at school and picking him up at the end of the day. So it saved him, you know, a 2-journey bus ride, which would take him an hour and a half, where I could drop him within 20 minutes and pick him up at the end of the day. And so that fitted in well with my family life. But I suddenly realised, you know, about 2 years or a year and a half before I actually finished my full-time job, that I was getting to 50 and I wanted to do something different. And also that my son was finishing school, so I didn't have that commitment to drop him at school, and so things started to fall into place a little bit better for me. And so my flow, I could see that a year down the line, my flow was going to be different. So I could actually start planning how I wanted to make my life different and better for myself. And then everything that came, you know, even to the extent of how much notice I had to give, which was 3 months notice, and the date I wanted to finish. And so I also planned the date I was going to hand my notice in. And then everything else that came after that, all the struggle with, you know, protocol of teaching, of the prison regime, the attitude of the prisoners, was all changing, which was making that balance even more different. So the need to change was rising to what I'd got already. And so everything that happened then was stacking up for my need and reassuring me that my need for change was right. And so this is what I mean about, yes, you can have a goal, but sometimes forcing that goal isn't necessarily the right thing to do, and it might make your journey towards that goal even more difficult, because you're going against the force of the flow, if you understand what I mean. And so making sure that life is in the right place, not just for you but your family, is and you know, things that are going on around you, is really, really important. Okay, so going with your flow is, I think, essential with the way you are setting your goals. And you know, and then even when you are on your flow and you are, you know, working towards your goals, things can happen. Life is complicated, family life is complicated. And so again, for me, that, you know, I'd set my goal of, you know, being fully self-employed. You know, it didn't work out how I wanted to. My parents, you know, my mum and Joan, who I talk about in my book, you know, needed extra support. So although, you know, my career hasn't moved in the direction that I thought, everybody, it's worked out for the best. For my parents, it's worked out for the best for me, because I can look after them and care for them as much as they need to. And so this is what I mean about, even though things might get in the way, how much are you willing to sacrifice? So I wasn't willing to sacrifice the care for my parents, because I knew I could do it for them. to a certain extent. Yeah, sometimes we need to get professionals in, but for general care, making sure they're okay, making sure the paperwork's done, they're reaching their appointments, they are taking their medication, all of those things are really, really important. And I knew that if I was going to force my goal of, my business, something's going to have to give. And that something, I didn't want to be my parents. I wanted to be able to give back to them as much as I could and to enjoy the rest of the years that I've got with them. So sometimes, things happen for a reason. I'm not saying that everything does, all right, because sometimes we don't know why stuff happens. But me giving up work, even though I thought I was doing it to become, a full-time coach, didn't quite work out, but it's worked out for the best, and that's what I celebrate about giving up my full-time job. Okay, so goals change. Okay, but it doesn't mean to say that you can't carry on doing something towards that. Okay, and also what's really, really important is that what are you willing to risk in terms of other family, like the relationships with your children, the relationships with your partner. Yes, you might have a fantastic idea and that is brilliant, but does it really sit with what you are wanting from family life? And this is why it's important to assess before you start, and also to work out the different areas of your life. But when we're talking about a review, what I want you to really do is to sit down and think about what can you celebrate so far in this year. Okay, now for some people this is going to be easier than others. For me, I do a gratitude at the end of each day with a little celebration section. In fact, I've actually changed that now, only in the last few weeks. Not so much the gratitude, but what has made me happy. All right, and I've done that to sort of help me keep my balance. I have my top 10 tips to keeping yourself sane. All right, this is me tweaking something, and it doesn't mean to say I won't tweak it back or mix the two together, but this is about me tweaking something to help me keep my balance. All right, so that I can run my life, work towards my goals in the best way that I can. So the first thing you need to do is really think about what you can celebrate from when you first set your goals at the beginning of the year to where you are today, because it will be amazing actually to see written down exactly what you've done in the last 7 months. Yeah, because we've just started August, haven't we? Okay, in the last 7 months, because actually, even though time goes very, very quickly, it's amazing what you can get done and what you can achieve in 7 months. And hopefully it will surprise you of how far you have got. So the second thing to do as well, I've got a whole list of things that I want to check with you, is go back to, and I hope you did do this, I hope you can see this, is your mind map that I did with you quite a few months back now, about what you want to be doing in the year. So I'd got looking at my book, my visionary board, my Let's Talks about getting clients. And it doesn't mean to say that things aren't changing, because now I am working towards, which isn't on here, I don't think, is about working towards doing podcasts. So that's something new for me that is going on the list. All right, on my mind map, my reviewed mind map of where I want to be going for the rest of the year. And then from there, if you remember, we did we talked about a visionary board, and this is the visionary board that I did. So it's looking at the whole of my life. So it's looking at, what I want to be earning, how I want to be supporting others, my fun time, my downtime, time with my family, time with my husband and my friends, and achieving personal things for myself, not just about my business. And then we started to talk about the wheel of life. So I know this is all back to front, but this is the one that I filled in ready for that section, was about looking at different areas of your life, where you are now between 0 and 10. So 10 would be everything's hunky-dory. So this is just fictitious here. And looking at, the different areas of your life. And then we looked at thinking about one specific area. So the example that I talked about that day was emotional health. Okay, so it could be, so you could do one of these for all different areas of your life. So one for your personal life, and one for business is very, very good as well, or your career, to make sure you're on track with that. And so then this was all about looking at your strengths, looking at your opportunities, looking at your support structure, looking at your barriers, things that can get in the way, and then how you can overcome those barriers. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is actually quite a big review, but that's okay. That's all right. And it might be, hopefully it hasn't changed too much, in which case it's then about, are the actions that you're taking still the right actions to where you want to be going? If things have changed, how have they changed? Why have they changed? And is that change the right change, or have you just got a little bit distracted by the bright shiny things and you need to draw yourself back on track? And so it's about working with those changes so that you can make the best of what you can. And it's about, it is about just spending some quiet time, just reflecting and working things out, and maybe not committing yourself to pen and paper straight away, but just reflecting on a few little things, and then start writing things down as ideas come. So if things aren't working out for you the way you want it to do, are you still battling on regardless, or are you willing to be flexible and change? Because if you are battling on regardless, what is the benefit of doing that? What is the benefit of battling on regardless to the benefit of making positive change and different actions that will hopefully get you to where you want to be more easily? Okay, so that you can progress, because at the end of the day, we're only here once, aren't we? And so it's about making the best of everything, and it doesn't matter if it isn't working out for you. You're not the only one. Things have changed. Yes, it will be demoralizing, but things can change. As long as you want it to change, as long as you are thinking about it in the right way, and in a positive way. Don't give yourself a hard time over it. because that is going to stop you. That's not going to move you forwards. If you're giving yourself a hard time, then, that is a barrier, and you need to shift that barrier. And to help shift that barrier, it's about taking action in a different way. So is it about, taking action in how you're speaking to yourself, the information that you're giving yourself, in which case you need to go back and celebrate what you've done well, what's happened well, the achievements that you've made, and then really start thinking about, hand on your heart, thinking about where you want to be going from today, and the support that you need to be able to do that. Okay. Now, what I do have is, available to everybody is a half hour, you call it a discovery session if you want to, but it's a half-hour consultation that we can do on the phone, Skype, WhatsApp. I did one this morning on WhatsApp. It was very, very successful, and we talked about a lot of information, and and it's a great way of me to get to understand you a little bit better, but also for you to see if you want to work with me, if you want me to help you move yourself in the direction that you want to be going. Okay. And so this is available for everybody. Just because you want, you do the 20 minutes consultation, that is, that's not putting your name on the dotted line to say that you've got to work with me. It's about finding out, all right, what it is that you want to be what it is that you want to be doing, where you want to be going. Am I the right person to help you do that? And we can go through all of this and, find out whether you are, going on the right tracks for you. All right, because this is important. This is you. This is your life. This is about how you want to be managing yourself in the best way possible. So, what time is it? Oh gosh, the time's gone really quickly. Okay, right. So, next week we're going to be talking about making life fun. All right, and I'm really looking forward to that one. But in the meantime, start having a little do your celebration on where what you've achieved so far this year. Are you heading in the right direction? Are you still heading in the right direction? If you're not, what direction do you want to be heading in? And go back to doing your mind map, having a little go at a new visionary board, looking at your wheel of life so that you can start finding out whether you're still on the right tracks, and then start taking some action, because nothing will change if you don't start taking action, or taking a different sort of action if you're not getting the results that you want to get. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I will speak to you next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be up in Edinburgh. Different background. It might be the bright pink background, or I might, if it's a nice evening, I might try it on the top of a hill somewhere, do something slightly different. But have a great week. Enjoy the nice weather. Keep cool, keep focused, keep breathing, and have a great week. Bye bye.